Joseph Stalin. This leader transformed a vast nation into a global superpower, but his rule came at a very heavy cost. Political purges removed anyone seen as a threat, while forced labor camps held millions under harsh conditions. Fear became a tool of governance, and silence became a form of survival. To some, he was a strong leader who modernized his country. To others, he represents one of the harshest systems of control in modern history, the dictator with a small mustache. Our first figure rose to power in Europe during the 1930s. He promised national greatness, but instead led the world into one of the deadliest conflicts in human history. His extreme ideology caused the deaths of millions and triggered a global war that affected almost every continent. His name became forever associated with dictatorship, hatred, and mass destruction. Even decades later, he remains one of the most infamous figures in world history, Saddam Hussein. This ruler controlled an oil-rich nation in the Middle East for decades. His leadership was marked by wars, invasions, and strict rule. His decisions caused regional instability and led to international conflicts that reshaped global politics. For years, he maintained power through force and fear. Eventually, his regime collapsed, but the consequences of his rule are still felt today. Che Guevara. Unlike traditional rulers, this figure became known through revolution. He operated in mountains and jungles, supporting armed movements against established governments. To his supporters, he became a symbol of resistance and rebellion. To his critics, he represented violence and political instability. Over time, his image turned into a global icon of revolution, printed on posters, shirts, and flags across the world. Jim Jones, this man was not a political ruler, but his influence was just as powerful. He built a devoted following and gained complete control over his community. Over time, that control became absolute, as followers placed total trust in his leadership. The situation eventually ended in a tragic mass event that shocked the world. His story remains one of the clearest warnings about manipulation, blind loyalty, and psychological control. Al Capone. During the Prohibition era in America, this man rose to control a vast criminal empire. Illegal trade, organized crime, and violent rivalries helped him build enormous wealth and influence. Despite his criminal activities, his name became widely known across the country. He became a symbol of organized crime in the modern world. Even today, his story is retold in movies, documentaries, and books. Osama bin Laden, this figure became known worldwide after orchestrating attacks that changed global history forever. His organization operated across multiple countries and influenced global networks of extremism. The consequences of his actions reshaped international security, politics, and military strategy. His name became associated with global terrorism. The impact of those events continues to influence the modern world even today. Pablo Escobar, this man built one of the most powerful drug empires in history. At the height of his power, he controlled a massive portion of the global cocaine trade. His organization was linked to extreme violence, corruption, kidnappings, and thousands of deaths. Despite being hunted internationally, he remained one of the most wanted criminals for years. His rise and fall turned him into one of the most infamous drug lords the world has ever seen. Heisenberg. Unlike the others, this figure comes from fiction. He started as an ordinary chemistry teacher, living a normal life, but circumstances pushed him into the world of illegal drug manufacturing. Over time, his identity transformed into something darker, more calculated, and more dangerous. He became known by a new name that represented fear, control, and power in the criminal underworld. His story is a reminder of how far a person can change when ambition and desperation collide. Kim Jong-il, this ruler, governed one of the most isolated nations in the modern world. His leadership was marked by strict control over information, media, and daily life. The country developed a reputation for secrecy and military focus under his rule. While state media portrayed him as a heroic leader, critics pointed to severe restrictions and widespread hardship. His legacy remains tied to one of the most closed and controversial systems in the world.